Hey everybody, we're here for an Alliance Way gear guide review for 2022. I'm Cole, and right in front of me, we have the Liquid Force Tao. So this is a continuation of Daniel Grant's pro model cable board, the Tao. And this year you can obviously see we've got a crazy, trippy hot dog graphic that really makes this board pop. The size we got to jump on is a 150. And just to let you know, these boards go all the way up to a 160 if that's something that you want to get on. As far as how big the board was, it didn't feel like it was that big underneath my feet when I was riding. I think the tip and tail, they have a scallop shape, so I think that helped the board maneuver around without the board feeling really big. Taking a look at the bottom of the board, we have the Liquid Force centered base. We also have the liquid rails wrapping this board around to give it a solid construction. And then on the top, we have the flex track, so you have optimal options as far as where you want to place those boots. We also have some channels on the bottom of this board that start from the belly and go all the way to the tip and tail that give you a lot more traction than your typical cable board. But I feel like with this board being a 3-stage rocker, it kind of rode more evenly on top of the water, especially compared to some of the other Liquid Force boards I've been on. So it's definitely going to be a little different than maybe some other boards you've been on. One of the things that I really noticed about this board is the weight. It is a little bit heavier than some of the other Liquid Force boards out there, but I think that's due to, Daniel Grant's riding is, as we all know, he goes massive. And flipping on the rails, just big impacts on some of these rails, especially when you land in a board slide. You don't want that board to just bend and snap into. So they obviously put a little bit more meat into this board to let it withstand the beating. Jumping right over into the categories, we're gonna look at tracking. We go 1 through 10, 1 being super loose and 10 is locked in. And the Tao, I will say, definitely had a little bit more locked in feel when you took it on edge due to all, the channels running all the way up to the tip and tail. I felt the 3-stage for sure underneath my feet. Like I was saying, it kind of rides more evenly on top of the water. So as far as rolling it onto edge, maybe takes a little bit more effort, but once you get it into that edge, it's definitely locking in. When you are on edge though, it's definitely not like some of the other Liquid Force boards with the lifted rails on the side. You have a nice sharp edge all the way through, and with that, you kind of have a little bit more of a locked in feel, but the board can easily get loose and butter around. It's just a little bit more effort. When we scale this thing, we're throwing it at a 7, just because, the channels and everything that's involved here, it's definitely a more locked in board. I mean, obviously you see Daniel, he's edging into the kicker as hard as you can. You kind of want something that's gonna hold all the way through. Now let's look at pop. We go 1 through 10, 1 meaning there's no pop, and 10 meaning you're bouncing up to the moon. And with this board right here, it is a little bit stiffer, and that's due to the construction and just being able to take the beating. And I feel like, the ollie becomes a bit more consistent with that. With a bigger board too, that's plenty of board on the surface to really dig that tail in and really make that thing snap. As far as on the scale, we're gonna go 7 out of 10. And the board may be stiffer, but that obviously made it a lot easier to snap those ollies. Typical with Daniel Grant, he's going big off kickers, so you would expect this board to have good landings. So that's what we're gonna check out next. We go 1 through 10. 1 is like a brick, and 10 means it's soft like a pillow. For this board though, it's got a bit of a stiffer profile, and we've also got the 3-stage, and we've got some channels and some concave to disperse the water as well. I think with the stiffer layup, it makes the board hold up a lot better when you're coming down into those landings. And for that reason, this board's gonna be an 8 out of 10. I know I've said it a couple times, this board is a bit stiffer, and that's where we're gonna start with our next category, flex. We go 1 through 10, 1 meaning it's stiff as a board, and 10 means it's a wet noodle. The construction of this board is beefed up a little bit. So when you add more materials to the board, it's gonna stiffen the board up overall. And I think that's a good thing if this is the kind of style you wanna go. If you wanna go big, you wanna have a board that's not gonna break when you're pushing it to the limits, you're gonna have to give a little bit when it comes to the flex, right? And with that being said, the flex to me is at a 4. And you have a little bit in the tip and tails, but the belly is definitely really solid. So if you want something that's gonna last, and you're not someone that needs the flexiest board on the market, but you want a board that's gonna last you all season, especially if you're a really aggressive rider, That's the kind of flex that I think you're gonna want. The last category we're gonna check out is base. We go 1 through 10. 1 means that it's super sticky, and 10 means it's super slick. Now for the Tao, we have Liquid Force's centered base, but we also have some of these channels on the bottom, so that's less surface area that's gonna be touching the rails, right? I felt like the board, without a doubt, wasn't too slick. And like I've said before, when you take a brand new board out of the wrapper, that's a fresh base. You gotta beat the thing up a little bit. You gotta scratch it up, because any base is gonna be super slick right off the bat. But once you start scraping the thing up, get a little bit of a beating on it, I feel like it lands a 7 out of 10 on that scale. And you know, it's slick enough to where you're gonna go through everything, but you're not gonna be out of control. And I think that's, you know, 6 to 7 typically is where you wanna be as far as on that scale to, you know, have a good time and be hang free. Man, to wrap this thing up, I've said it before, this board is made for a powerhouse of a rider. It's gonna withstand a beating. And you know, when you wanna buy a board that's obviously a little bit more on the higher end, you're gonna want it to last all season for you, especially if you're someone that likes to go big and really put the board to its limits. This board's gonna last and give you that ability. Now, if you guys want to know more information, check out all the sizes that are available, and just get any other information on this board, you can click the link right here, head over to the website and get everything you need. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the reviews coming out in the future. I'm Cole. Check you on the next one.